In any relationship, conflicts are inevitable, but how we handle them can make all the difference. What happens when trust is broken, boundaries are crossed, and emotions are raw? In this story, three individuals, Alex, RAC, and Thren, must confront their differences, navigate the complexity of human emotions, and rebuild what was damaged. But can they find resolution, or will time and patience reveal that some wounds take longer to heal than others? The story begins with Alex, a human aboard an interspecies exploration ship, confronting two alien crewmates, RAC and Thren, who are quarreling over an object, a box that Alex identifies as his. This moment introduces a fundamental cultural difference between humans and the aliens: the concept of ownership and the respect tied to it. RAC and Thren, hailing from societies with looser or more opportunistic views on property, struggle to grasp why Alex is so adamant about the box being his. RAC, for instance, argues that in his culture, an unattended object is free for the taking, a stark contrast to Alex's insistence on ownership as an inviolable principle. This clash underscores a critical aspect of human nature: the emotional and symbolic value humans often assign to their possessions. To Alex, the box isn't just an object. It represents a personal boundary. By taking it, the aliens unknowingly cross an unspoken line, challenging not just his claim to the item, but his identity and sense of respect. Alex's response is calm but firm, signaling the seriousness of the situation without overt aggression. This highlights how humans often approach such confrontations with a mix of logic and emotion, making their reactions seem unpredictable to those unfamiliar with their mindset. The scene sets the tone for the rest of the narrative, illustrating that for humans, ownership extends beyond mere possession. It reflects deeper cultural values of individuality, respect, and connection to personal belongings. The story suggests that understanding and honoring these values is crucial in fostering interspecies harmony, as violations of these principles can lead to unintended conflict. The story delves deeply into the cultural divide between Alex and the alien crewmates, RAC and Thren, as they grapple with the concept of ownership. This moment is not just about a box, but represents a broader commentary on how cultures can vary drastically in their views on fundamental concepts. For RAC and Thren, coming from societies where ownership might be more fluid or communal, Alex's strong attachment to a seemingly mundane object seems irrational. To them, the box is simply a useful item that anyone could claim if left unattended. However, to Alex, the box is his by right, tied to his personal identity and autonomy. This scenario highlights how cultural norms shape behavior and values. RAC and Thren's actions are not malicious. Rather, they stem from a worldview where the boundaries of personal property are less defined. In contrast, Alex represents a human perspective where ownership is tied to respect, responsibility, and emotional significance. This difference creates tension, not because of malice, but because of misunderstanding. Neither side fully grasps the other's perspective, showcasing how assumptions based on one's cultural norms can lead to unintended conflict. The turning point comes when Alex, instead of reacting with anger, chooses to explain his perspective calmly and assertively. This approach demonstrates the power of empathy in bridging cultural gaps. By articulating why the box is important to him and framing ownership as a fundamental value in human culture, Alex gives RAC and Thren an opportunity to understand his point of view. His reaction also reflects a key human trait: the ability to express and justify emotions rationally. Through his explanation, the aliens begin to see ownership not just as a material claim, but as a reflection of individuality and personal boundaries. This moment serves as a microcosm of interspecies relations, emphasizing the need for patience, communication, and empathy in overcoming cultural differences. It illustrates that true understanding requires more than just tolerance. It requires actively engaging with and respecting the values of others, even when they seem foreign. By fostering dialogue, Alex not only defuses the immediate conflict, but also lays the foundation for a deeper connection with his alien crewmates. At the heart of the story's conflict lies the theme of individuality and the establishment of personal boundaries. For Alex, the box is not merely a physical object, but a representation of his identity and personal space. In a universe where he is surrounded by beings with vastly different appearances, beliefs, and customs, the box provides him with a sense of familiarity and autonomy. It's a tether to his humanity and a marker of his unique self in an environment that can sometimes feel alien and overwhelming. When this item is taken without his consent, it's not just the loss of the object that stings. It's the violation of his personal boundary, which leaves him feeling unseen and disrespected. This conflict raises the question of how personal boundaries are recognized and respected across cultures. Alex's strong reaction to the box's disappearance is deeply tied to the human need for agency over one's possessions and self-expression. For many humans, personal belongings carry emotional significance, often tied to memories, values, or a sense of control. By contrast, the aliens, RAC and Thren, may belong to societies where individuality is less emphasized and the concept of private property holds little weight. Their casual use of the box is not malicious, but reflects a lack of understanding of Alex's need for boundaries. What makes this moment compelling is Alex's response. While he initially feels violated, he doesn't lash out, but instead chooses to articulate his feelings and explain why the box is meaningful to him. This approach is significant because it demonstrates that asserting personal boundaries doesn't have to involve aggression or hostility. Alex sets an example of healthy communication by expressing his feelings clearly and standing firm in his need for respect, even when dealing with beings who do not share his cultural background. In turn, RAC and Thren's reaction shows the importance of listening and adaptability. As Alex explains the human perspective on individuality and ownership, they begin to understand the emotional weight of their actions. Their willingness to learn from the encounter demonstrates how boundaries can be respected when approached with openness and empathy. The resolution of this conflict highlights a universal truth. Respecting personal boundaries is a cornerstone of meaningful relationships, whether among humans or across species. Ultimately, the story uses the conflict over the box to explore how individuality and personal boundaries are vital aspects of coexistence. Alex's insistence on the importance of the box underscores the need for everyone to feel seen, respected, and valued as unique individuals. In a diverse and interconnected universe, moments like this teach that establishing boundaries is not about division, but about fostering mutual respect and understanding. Open communication emerges as one of the central themes in the story, particularly in how it resolves the conflict between Alex, RAC, and Thren. When misunderstandings arise over the use of Alex's box, they reflect the broader challenges of communicating across cultures, perspectives, and values. This theme emphasizes that dialogue, rather than silence or confrontation, is the key to overcoming differences and fostering mutual understanding. Initially, the situation is fraught with tension. Alex feels violated when he discovers RAC and Thren using his box without permission, while RAC and Thren are oblivious to the emotional significance of their actions. The absence of initial communication fuels misunderstanding. This moment mirrors real-life scenarios where cultural or individual differences lead to conflicts, often because each party interprets the situation through their own lens, without seeking clarification. RAC and Thren's actions weren't rooted in malice. They stem from ignorance of Alex's attachment to the box. This highlights how assumptions, left unaddressed, can inadvertently cause harm. What distinguishes this narrative is Alex's decision to address the issue directly. Rather than allowing resentment to fester or reacting with hostility, he chooses a path of open and honest communication. By articulating his feelings and explaining the significance of the box, Alex not only defends his boundaries but also educates RAC and Thren about his perspective. This moment underscores a critical lesson. Effective communication is not just about expressing oneself, but doing so in a way that fosters understanding and invites dialogue. Alex's approach models the importance of clarity, respect, and emotional honesty in resolving conflicts. On the other side, RAC and Thren's willingness to listen and engage in the conversation is equally vital. They could have dismissed Alex's concerns or become defensive, but instead, they choose to understand his perspective. Their response demonstrates that open communication requires reciprocity. It's a two-way process where both parties must be willing to speak and listen. This mutual effort transforms the conflict into an opportunity for growth, teaching all involved that misunderstandings, while inevitable, can be overcome through dialogue. The resolution of the conflict highlights how open communication fosters empathy. By sharing his feelings and explaining the human concept of personal space and ownership, Alex helps RAC and Thren grasp the deeper emotional implications of their actions. Meanwhile, Alex gains insight into their lack of understanding, realizing their actions were not meant to harm. This exchange enriches their relationship, building a stronger foundation of trust and mutual respect. Ultimately, the story illustrates the transformative power of open communication in navigating cultural differences and resolving conflicts. It shows that when individuals are willing to express their feelings and perspectives honestly, and when others respond with a willingness to listen and learn, misunderstandings can become opportunities for connection and growth. In a world or universe defined by diversity, this message is a timeless reminder of the value of talking, listening, and understanding one another. The concept of boundaries is integral to understanding the emotional and psychological needs of individuals. And in this story, it plays a crucial role in the conflict between Alex, RAC, and Thren. Boundaries refer to the personal limits individuals set regarding what is acceptable in terms of behavior, emotions, and space. In the narrative, Alex's box serves as a symbolic representation of these boundaries. It is not just a physical object, but also a deeply personal one for Alex, embodying a space where his privacy, autonomy, and personal values are protected. The violation of this boundary by RAC and Thren, who use the box without Alex's permission, creates a profound sense of discomfort and betrayal for Alex. In this context, boundaries are shown to be multifaceted. They are not merely about physical possessions or spaces, but about respecting an individual's feelings, history, and sense of self. The act of using the box without consent, while seemingly harmless to RAC and Thren, represents an infringement upon Alex's personal space. It is an intrusion not just on a physical item, but also on a piece of Alex's identity, memories, and personal autonomy. This highlights how individuals may interpret the same action differently, depending on their own understanding of boundaries and their cultural or personal norms. When Alex becomes upset over the violation of his box, it serves as a powerful reminder of the need for boundaries to be respected in relationships. The violation of boundaries, even if unintentional or misunderstood, can lead to feelings of discomfort, resentment, and alienation. This is particularly evident in Alex's reaction, which demonstrates how personal boundaries protect one's sense of emotional safety. Respecting boundaries is not just about adhering to physical space or objects, but also about acknowledging the emotional significance attached to those boundaries. In this case, Alex's box symbolizes an emotional investment that requires recognition and care from others. The resolution of the conflict comes when Alex clearly communicates the importance of the box to him, emphasizing that his boundaries must be respected. This moment reveals an essential lesson about maintaining healthy relationships. Boundaries are not rigid walls, but rather flexible and negotiable spaces that need to be communicated and honored by others. RAC and Thren's initial lack of awareness about the significance of the box shows how easily boundaries can be overlooked if they are not explicitly communicated. Their willingness to respect Alex's feelings after understanding the importance of the box is crucial, as it highlights the role of empathy in recognizing and honoring someone's boundaries. This theme of boundaries and respect is also a reflection of broader social dynamics. In everyday interactions, individuals often navigate various types of boundaries: emotional, physical, psychological, and cultural. In many cases, misunderstandings arise when people fail to recognize or respect each other's boundaries, either due to ignorance, indifference, or a lack of communication. This story underscores that boundaries are not merely personal preferences, but essential aspects of a healthy, respectful relationship. When boundaries are respected, trust and understanding flourish. And when they are violated, even unintentionally, the fabric of the relationship can begin to unravel. Ultimately, the story emphasizes that respect for boundaries is a fundamental principle of coexistence. It is a reciprocal process where individuals are mindful of each other's limits and actively seek to honor them. By understanding and respecting boundaries, we create an environment in which all parties feel safe, valued, and understood. The conflict resolution in this story serves as a valuable reminder of how crucial it is to communicate one's boundaries clearly and to respect the boundaries of others in both personal and broader social contexts. Empathy and communication are key elements in resolving conflicts and building healthy relationships. In this story, Alex, RAC, and Thren's interaction illustrates how these two concepts work together to address misunderstandings and restore harmony. The initial conflict arises because RAC and Thren do not understand the emotional significance of the box to Alex, nor do they recognize that they have crossed a boundary by using it without his permission. This misunderstanding leads to Alex's distress, but the eventual resolution is made possible through the processes of empathy and effective communication. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. In this situation, RAC and Thren's lack of awareness regarding the significance of the box is not an intentional act of disrespect, but rather a result of their inability to perceive Alex's emotions and perspective. Initially, they do not understand why Alex is upset, as they do not see the box as something that should hold such importance. However, when Alex is able to express how deeply the violation of the box's privacy affects him, RAC and Thren begin to empathize with his feelings. Empathy, in this case, helps them step outside of their own perceptions and understand Alex's point of view. The process of empathy requires active listening, an essential aspect of communication. When Alex is able to articulate why the box is so important to him, RAC and Thren listen with an open mind and without judgment. This is an essential part of conflict resolution because, often, when conflicts arise, individuals become defensive and stop listening to one another. However, in this case, Alex's clear explanation of his emotional attachment to the box creates space for RAC and Thren to acknowledge the hurt they caused. Their capacity to listen with empathy and to understand that Alex's feelings are valid allows them to genuinely appreciate the gravity of the situation. Effective communication is also central to resolving the conflict. Alex's ability to express his feelings in a calm and clear manner plays a significant role in helping RAC and Thren understand his perspective. Communication in conflict resolution is not only about stating one's grievances, but also about doing so in a way that invites understanding and fosters dialogue. Alex does not simply react with anger or frustration, but instead calmly explains why the violation of the box was upsetting to him, giving RAC and Thren a chance to understand his emotional response. This is contrasted with a scenario where Alex might have responded defensively, which would likely have escalated the conflict rather than resolving it. Furthermore, RAC and Thren's response to Alex's feelings is just as important in ensuring that the conflict is resolved. By expressing their regret and acknowledging the unintentional harm caused, they show that they value Alex's emotions and are committed to maintaining a respectful relationship. This willingness to communicate openly and take responsibility for their actions is a key aspect of emotional maturity and a critical step in resolving conflicts. Their apology and commitment to respecting Alex's boundaries after understanding his perspective demonstrate the power of empathy and communication in fostering mutual respect and harmony. The resolution of the conflict is not simply about Alex feeling understood, but also about the development of trust between the three individuals. When people feel heard and respected, trust is strengthened, and the relationship becomes more resilient. In this case, Alex's ability to express his feelings and RAC and Thren's willingness to listen and adapt shows that communication and empathy have the power to restore relationships that might otherwise be strained by misunderstandings. In a broader sense, The story highlights the importance of these two qualities, empathy and communication, in all kinds of relationships, whether personal, professional, or social. Misunderstandings and conflicts are inevitable, but the way individuals respond to them can determine the long-term health and strength of their relationships. When empathy is present and communication is open and honest, conflicts are more likely to lead to resolutions that strengthen rather than weaken bonds. This process of conflict resolution ultimately builds a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and understanding, which is essential for maintaining healthy and supportive relationships. Through this lens, the story emphasizes that empathy and communication are not just tools for resolving conflicts, but also for preventing them. By actively listening to others and communicating openly, we can avoid many of the misunderstandings that lead to conflict in the first place, ensuring that relationships are based on respect and care. Accountability and trust are fundamental components in the process of resolving conflicts, as they ensure that individuals take responsibility for their actions and contribute to restoring harmony. In the context of the story, Alex's emotional reaction to the violation of the box highlights the need for individuals involved in a conflict to acknowledge their role in the situation and take responsibility for their actions. RAC and Thren's accountability for their behavior is key to diffusing the tension and rebuilding trust, ultimately allowing them to repair the relationship with Alex. Accountability begins with self-awareness, the ability to recognize how one's actions impact others. When RAC and Thren realize that they have crossed a boundary by using Alex's box without permission, they are faced with the crucial step of owning up to their mistake. This act of taking responsibility is not just about admitting fault, but also about understanding the emotional consequences their actions had on Alex. By acknowledging their impact on Alex's feelings, RAC and Thren demonstrate a key aspect of accountability, recognizing how their actions affected someone else on an emotional level. This awareness is critical in moving forward, as it allows the individuals involved in the conflict to make the necessary changes to prevent a similar situation from occurring again. In addition to acknowledging their role in the conflict, accountability involves actively working to amend the situation. For RAC and Thren, this means apologizing for their lack of consideration and expressing genuine regret for causing harm to Alex. A sincere apology is an expression of accountability that goes beyond simply saying, "I'm sorry." It involves recognizing the specific ways in which one's actions were wrong, explaining why they were hurtful, and demonstrating a commitment to making things right. The apology serves as a key moment in the resolution process, as it signals a willingness to take responsibility and a desire to restore the balance that was disrupted by the conflict. By offering this apology, RAC and Thren show that they are taking ownership of their actions, which is essential for healing the rift between them and Alex. Trust is deeply intertwined with accountability. Trust is the belief that others will act with integrity and consider the impact of their actions on those around them. When individuals hold themselves accountable, they reinforce this belief and help maintain a sense of security within the relationship. In this story, the trust that Alex has in RAC and Thren is initially shaken by the violation of his personal space. However, when RAC and Thren own up to their mistake, apologize sincerely, and assure Alex that they will respect his boundaries in the future, they begin to rebuild that trust. Trust is not an instantaneous or automatic process. It must be nurtured through consistent actions and reliability. In this case, RAC and Thren's accountability is the first step in reestablishing that trust, as it shows Alex that they are committed to behaving in a manner that respects his feelings and boundaries moving forward. For trust to be truly restored, however, it is not enough for RAC and Thren to simply apologize. They must demonstrate through their future actions that they are committed to respecting Alex's personal space and preferences. Trust is reinforced when people consistently show that they can be relied upon and that their behavior aligns with their words. Therefore, accountability is an ongoing process, not just a one-time gesture. In this case, RAC and Thren must make a conscious effort to avoid similar mistakes in the future and show Alex, through their actions, that they have learned from the experience. When trust is rebuilt in this way, It becomes a cornerstone for the relationship, ensuring that the bond between the individuals involved is stronger and more resilient. In a broader context, the story underscores how accountability and trust are crucial for maintaining healthy relationships and resolving conflicts. Without accountability, individuals are unlikely to recognize the need for change, and without trust, there is little foundation for reconciliation. When both of these elements are present, however, conflicts can lead to growth and a deeper understanding between the individuals involved. Accountability provides the necessary first step in acknowledging mistakes, while trust ensures that the relationship can continue to evolve in a positive direction. Together, these qualities allow for the restoration of harmony, the healing of emotional wounds, and the building of stronger, more resilient relationships. The resolution process illustrated in the story serves as a reminder that conflict resolution is not just about solving the immediate problem, but also about laying the groundwork for a more solid and trusting relationship in the future. Accountability and trust, when properly nurtured, can transform conflicts into opportunities for growth, fostering deeper understanding and stronger bonds between individuals. This process is vital not only for personal relationships, but also for professional and social dynamics, where trust and accountability are key to collaboration, cooperation, and mutual respect. Patience and time are often essential elements in the process of resolving conflicts, especially when emotions run high and trust has been broken. In the context of the story, the conflict between Alex, RAC, and Thren highlights the necessity of giving both parties the space to process their emotions and allowing the situation to heal gradually. Although accountability and trust are crucial for resolving conflicts, the role of time and patience cannot be overlooked, as they provide the conditions necessary for reconciliation to take place effectively. Patience is the ability to endure discomfort or emotional distress without rushing to resolve the issue immediately. In the aftermath of a conflict, emotions can be raw and reactions can be intense, making it difficult for the parties involved to engage in productive conversations right away. In this case, Alex's emotional response to the violation of his personal space is not something that can be immediately fixed by an apology or a promise of future respect. Alex may need time to process his feelings of hurt and disappointment before he is ready to engage in meaningful dialogue with RAC and Thren. Patience on the part of RAC and Thren is necessary to allow Alex the time he needs to heal and come to terms with the situation. Pushing for an immediate resolution or demanding forgiveness before Alex is ready could further strain the relationship, making the situation more difficult to resolve. Time also plays a key role in giving individuals the opportunity to reflect on the situation. After the initial emotional reactions subside, each party may need time to think about the events and the underlying causes of the conflict. For RAC and Thren, time allows them to better understand why their actions hurt Alex and how they can approach the situation differently in the future. Similarly, Alex may need time to evaluate his feelings and decide what is required for him to feel comfortable and secure again. During this time, all parties involved can reflect on their own behaviors, motivations, and emotions, which can lead to greater self-awareness and understanding when they eventually come back together to resolve the conflict. The passage of time can also help to reduce emotional intensity, which is essential for having a constructive conversation. When emotions are running high, it can be challenging for people to communicate effectively. Anger, frustration, or hurt feelings might cloud judgment or lead to defensive behaviors that hinder resolution. Over time, emotions typically become less charged, making it easier for individuals to approach the issue with a clearer mindset. In the case of Alex, RAC, and Thren, this period of emotional cooling off is crucial because it enables them to move beyond their initial feelings of anger or frustration and to engage in a more reasoned and empathetic dialogue. Moreover, time can demonstrate the sincerity of one's efforts toward resolution. In the immediate aftermath of a conflict, promises or apologies may be met with skepticism or disbelief, particularly if trust has been damaged. However, as time goes on, actions can speak louder than words. RAC and Thren's efforts to demonstrate respect for Alex's boundaries over time will be crucial in rebuilding trust. If they consistently show through their actions that they have learned from the situation and are committed to respecting Alex's wishes, this will help reassure him that their apology was genuine. Time provides the opportunity for those involved in the conflict to observe and verify that the changes promised are actually taking place. Similarly, Alex's own response to the situation may evolve over time. He may come to understand that RAC and Thren's actions reflect a genuine desire to repair the relationship, leading to a gradual restoration of trust. Patience is also necessary in managing expectations. Conflict resolution is rarely an instant process, and the belief that everything can be fixed quickly often leads to frustration and disappointment. In this scenario, the expectation that Alex will immediately forgive RAC and Thren could create unnecessary pressure and potentially delay the healing process. By being patient, all parties can set realistic expectations about the time it will take to fully resolve the conflict and restore the relationship. This patience ensures that each person's needs and feelings are addressed properly, without rushing the process or glossing over important emotional work. Finally, time and patience allow for long-term growth and the establishment of healthier patterns of behavior. The resolution of the conflict, facilitated by patience, does not simply return the relationship to its original state. It allows for growth. Through patience, the individuals involved learn how to communicate more effectively, respect each other's boundaries, and respond to future conflicts with greater understanding. This kind of growth takes time and cannot be rushed, but it results in stronger, more resilient relationships in the long run. In summary, patience and time are integral to the conflict resolution process. They provide space for emotional processing, facilitate reflection and self-awareness, and create the conditions for genuine reconciliation. While accountability and trust are crucial, time allows for those elements to have their full effect. Patience allows the parties to approach the resolution process with a calm, thoughtful perspective, while time ensures that the healing process is thorough and lasting. Together, these factors ensure that the conflict is not just resolved temporarily, but that the relationships involved are ultimately strengthened and more resilient.